Hello and welcome back to England. It's been 3 days since I got home and I've really struggled with jet lag and a little bit of, I think, depression or sadness at least about being away from my wife and being away from the heat and the excitement of being around Mexico City. Right now it's quite nice outside in England. It's 13 degrees. It's a proper Yorkshire wash day, with clothes on lines all along the back alley of the houses. And that's quite nice and I enjoy that. But I miss the fact that my eldest son has moved to another city. He moved to Nottingham a few days before I got back from Mexico. He's doing something really exciting there, and it's a proper continuation of what he did in Bradford last year. And all the best for him on that one. And our youngest son is in New York doing a new degree, a master's degree in the middle of New York City. And I'm excited for him, and we hope to find time to go and visit him. I just managed to get out of the house and go for a coffee at one of my local places, Left Terrace in Bradford. But I'm well aware of the fact that I was doing that because I miss my wife and I wanted to see familiar faces in my local coffee shop. So to see Terence and Maria was absolutely wonderful. I had several ideas when I was on the flight back from Houston, which was my halfway point, coming back and landing on Thursday last week, about what new videos I wanted to create and some of the content I want to put together as we move into what really feels like now autumn. We're in September, 13 degrees here in Yorkshire, 23 degrees later this afternoon at home in Mexico. I was able to go to W.H. Smith's on Saturday in Bradford, and I bought myself this A4 new notebook. Look at the size of it compared to my journal for North America. The difference is vast, and I'm really looking forward to using this. But I had forgotten how large the A4 format is. This, by comparison, is the Scribe notebook that I started using. I had it in my rucksack when I flew to the States on Wednesday. And I used it to start writing parts of the story there at the airport coffee shop, which I've commented on in a previous video. And then I used it to write on the aircraft during the flight. On Saturday, which was my first real day leaving the house, I felt okay just to get up and have the energy to walk into town for a nice breakfast and a coffee. But I took that notebook with me again and added another 850 or 860 words to the manuscript, which I'm really happy about because the words are coming so naturally for this story that I'm really excited that it is developing a pace of its own, and the characters are presenting themselves to me with, I won't say without any effort, but they are making themselves known to me as I move the pen across the paper. I've done a very slight rewrite on a couple of the scenes so far, but I'm at 23,000 words as of this weekend. And I'm really happy about that. I think that will be a 40,000 word story, and that will give me a novella to start this series in which I'm talking about the atmosphere and the characters and the sounds and the food of Mexico City. And I really feel that that's going well. But back to that notebook. I made a comment in a previous video that I enjoy having shares in businesses that I use or shop with on a regular basis, and W.H. Smith's is no exception because it's part of that portfolio of shares. And in looking at my notes yesterday about some of the ideas that I want to put together in new videos that are coming up probably over the next 2 months, one of the things I wanted to look at is my investments and my shares, because sometimes I'm asked questions about that, and I realize that I will very naturally use something my Leica A6 notebooks. For example, here is a page of my notes from a few weeks ago, just looking at some of the different shares that I was considering, along with the cost of buying each one and then the approximate percentage paid out as a dividend. So I've got a range of shares there, and I'll do another video on that. And then again, a 2-page spread looking at other shares where I look at various investment sites like Trading 212, which I use for an ISA account, and taking that information and then just looking at what shares might be attractive. Again, different ones here arranged from the UK and European companies, but transferring those into the existing portfolio or adding to shares that are in there already. So that's how I use my Leica notebook for lots of random little things. I've got another page there that I made entries on yesterday about the house here that we rent in Yorkshire, because with it being a new season, one tenant is going to be moving out, another housemate will be coming back to the house having lived away for a few months, and so I've got some changes and amendments to make to the house, all part of really the ongoing upkeep of a rental property. As you know, I'm a residential landlord living in this particular house, and we have a number of rental rooms, but I'm going to run 3 this year to take us through till next summer. And so part of the process of being back in England has been to look at what we do with the house, how we redecorate it, some of the maintenance issues that I need to address and spend some money on. And that's part of perhaps what might come out in another video. Another reason that I'm back here for the moment is because I will start a new role in an educational environment, but looking very much at the use of AI as a tool to help students focus on their work and find their own learning style. And that's something I'm going to be engaged with quite soon, just in a few days' time. That particular contract will start. Some of it I can do from home, others I will be doing in a physical environment, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Tied in with that AI role, one of the things that I was fascinated by last night was taking part in Barry's Analog Insights channel on his Sunday Live. It's been a regular thing, but because of timetables in Mexico and England, I haven't been able to take part in the first 2. But on this one, he issued a challenge to those of us who were there for the evening to write 50 words, almost like a mini story that Barry is very fond of, to write 50 words about how we might use analog instruments or tools to help somebody in the next week be introduced to something that is non-digital. And I wrote, and literally you can see that this is on the back of an envelope, always recycle your paper. I wrote, I'll be using my A6 notebooks in a new work role this week. By letting digital youngsters see and handle such journals and pens, I'm sure that I can open up some new thinking around the slower and more thoughtful nature of introducing them to positive life enhancement tools. The challenge was that we use something, it could be pen and paper or a typewriter. Some people submitted their ideas via typewriter and took images of that and sent those in. But I just figured that I can use my A6 notebooks. These are by Leica in Mexico City, and I brought some new ones back with me on the flight last week. These go in my man bag, my wrist bag, and they are perfect for notes in just the same way that I've showed you that I was using this one for looking at my rent accounts, the household management, and my dividend portfolio. These new ones, because this one's close to being finished, these new ones will get me through the next 3 or 4 months and will be a handy item in my tool bag as and when I'm in that educational location to help people with the use of AI and their prompting to enhance their learning facilities. But I'll still be guided in my own weekly and day-to-day life management by the use of pen and paper, because that's who I am and that's what I like to use. But there will be a video about that process once I've settled into that role and maybe spent a few weeks getting my feet under the desk, literally, and working out how to best use the software that they're going to introduce me to. One of the things I've really enjoyed recently is following your guidance on producing perhaps more vlog style videos that you find interesting or that introduce you to different aspects of life for us as a family in Mexico and in Yorkshire in England. And I want to do more of those, and that's why I just thought today I will do a slightly scripted, and when I say scripted, that's my script for a YouTube video, a little central idea about being home, about coming away from Mexico, missing my wife, my son being away at his new work environment, and then working around this little circle of stories to record ideas to camera and show you what I'm up to. One of the next things, just looking at my notes here, that I've got ready for autumn is to create audio files of some of my books that are not already in audio. So for example, Climbing Out of Debt, that exists on Audible for Amazon users, and that can be downloaded so that if you want to listen to a book as you read through it, or you just prefer audio learning and audio absorption of information, that option is there for you already. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this month, I'm going to take Simple Self-Help and record that here, perhaps from the living room or maybe upstairs in the studio, which has got more soundproofing. I'll record this book as a series of small chapters, maybe 30 minutes long, and have a series of those so that you have the whole book that you can listen to here on YouTube whilst you're doing whatever it is that you do, whilst you listen to audiobooks. And in that line of thinking, would you do me a favor, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, but drop a comment in the little box below the video and tell me whether your preferred way of accessing books is via a digital thing like Kobo or Kindle, or whether you prefer to read a physical copy, or how you are about audiobooks. If you like audiobooks, that gives me more incentive and more ideas about recording something here on the channel and uploading that with a cover image and details of the book itself. I've already commented about bringing back extra Leica notebooks with me from Mexico City, but one of the challenges of spending time between two family homes, because we are basically a family that has come together in recent years with two nationalities, two locations, and we're trying to work out how we blend that family together and those living situations together. But you end up with things in each home, and it makes it difficult sometimes when, particularly for me, you have this kinesthetic relationship to the tools that you write with, that you work with, which you imbue with magical powers, or you have strong emotional connection to. A perfect example of that is the little video I did a few weeks ago called TikTok Watch Talk, where I shared half a dozen watches that were in the house there. And of course, those are different from the watches that I keep here. So I'm wearing today, for example, my Longines Hydra Conquest 43mm. It's a beautiful watch, but I didn't have it in Mexico. So one of the things I did the first day I got back here, I woke up and popped on a new watch. And it's nice to do that, but it's an addiction that is based around thinking that certain things are special and important, and that I need them in my life or in my situation in order to be able to get on with my work. That's not true. They're just beliefs that we attach ourselves to and think, oh yes, this will be the little thing that allows me to get this project done, or if I do this in a certain way, following that routine will bring me not so much luck, but it's more likely to guarantee a successful outcome of the things that I do. And this is a typical token of those possibly false beliefs, but beliefs that might serve us in different ways. This is an old jewelry box. I've had it many, many years, probably 40 years. I'm not sure how it came into my life anymore. I think it belonged to my grandmother Alice. I'm not completely sure. But I repurposed it a long time ago for pens. And if I can open it in front of the camera, these are a selection of the pens that I brought back with me. Whoops, be careful, don't drop them all, Nick. But these are a selection of the pens that I brought back from Mexico. It is only a selection, and I don't want them all to fall out, but there are fountain pens there that you've seen me work with in coffee shops. There are fountain pens in here you've never seen. There's a beautiful propelling pencil here that my cousin bought for me in Mexico. And I really love it. It has the thickest graphite rods that I can use it with. 2mm Porta Mina it's called. But it's beautiful. Just a little gift. And I'm not going to go through them all, but this one has been superbly easy to write with. It's a Platinum Plaisir, and I think I'll probably take that with me to the new work location later this week to use in my Leica notebooks. But these are just little things that I want to produce more content on. The idea of my wife and I working towards the goal of living under one roof on a largely permanent basis, so maybe to spend 6 months or 7 months in Mexico and 5 months or 6 months in the UK, that would be very attractive. And one of the videos I want to create about that is discussing our sources of income, not necessarily to the nearest £1,000 or anything like that, but talking about the proportions of income that might come from YouTube, from Amazon, from room rental, from the rental of our other properties, the ones that we don't live in, from our Airbnb business in Mexico City, and just talking about how some of those things come together. Also, some of the courses that I have uploaded onto different platforms and the revenue that that generates that supports me in going out to a coffee shop and paying for whatever food or stationery or coffee that I want while I'm out and about. So these are some of the ideas that I've dropped onto these notes, and this is what I wanted to share with you today at the beginning of autumn as we start the processes of slowing down from the sometimes frantic activity of traveling and summer and being out and about all the time in good weather to hunkering down for that almost hygge lifestyle that we see in the Scandinavian books about home management. I'm not going to be going into that, but it brings me to thinking of that hygge element of reading and candlelight and writing in journals and using the analog things that we have, which hopefully are things that support and encourage and nurture us as the best example of who we hope to be and who we seek to be on a regular basis. Because I think for me, when I have my home environment settled and established, that's one way of boosting my writing activity. And I haven't, by the way, even talked about Medium. I had a very good month on Medium in September, and I'll share that with you in another video. That's the process of being paid for the articles that you write based on their popularity or the connection that a reader feels to the work that you upload to Medium, and you end up being rewarded for that in the early days of the following month. So that's an immediate short-term way of creating content, uploading it, sharing it, and then seeing payment for that the following month, which is very different from, example, the Amazon model, where you typically see a royalty come in that is for work that you sold 2 months previously. And having covered all of those things, I would just love to say thank you for listening, thank you for subscribing, and thank you, of course, for enjoying some of the books that I've written in recent years, and of course, hopefully, the new books that are coming out very soon. On the theme of books, not so much the notebooks, but I do still find these incredibly useful for tracking the number of times I'm going to be swimming locally to the house at the gym, for tracking my reading activity, for being productive in all the things that you and I want to do. Tracking is very important. And what I will be looking to add to my notebooks and my journals is the fact that I have committed to my promise and created an audiobook for you here on the channel from this book, Simple Self-Help. And then for my own personal journey of reading and learning through books, I'm going back to this one during the month of September, The Call of the Writer's Craft. It's a super book. I've referenced it before, so I won't go into much detail here. But I'm looking to produce a video by the end of the month in which I look at the value I've been able to extract and enjoy from this wonderful book, which I've had probably 10 years now, writing and selling the book within, The Call of the Writer's Craft by Tom Bird. Just pop it up on the screen there for you for a little while. But I'm going to do a book review on that. And then finally, for my own personal enjoyment and education, I've got this wonderful book, Yorkshire, A Lyrical History of England's Greatest County. I mentioned last month that I'd bought it, but I'm glad to be back in Yorkshire to read this book by Richard Morris. And I don't know whether it will attract me to do a review, but I'm absolutely sure that one of the things that will come out of this is a personal, deeper understanding of the county of Yorkshire and the learning of lots of little anecdotes and stories that may be useful in something further down the road. But also the idea of sitting in a house nice and cozy when it's cold outside as we move further into autumn. It looks like a good read for me, and I'm looking forward to enjoying it. That's enough for me. I hope you've enjoyed what I've shared. When I made the notes for this video this morning over breakfast, I wanted to get a sense for myself and then to share it with you about how I see the channel growing or finding its shape continuously, because that's what happens with a YouTube channel. But I want to look at that and have a greater sense of what I think I want to produce over September and October as we move towards the winter. Let's enjoy autumn for what it is, a changing of seasons, a move from bright light and warmth into the coolness of the autumn, the beginning of winter, and a changing of the landscape and the trees and the flowers outside our homes into a place where we start to focus on what happens inside our home environment, because it's in our home environment that we can truly be who we are and find and organize the space and the resources to support us in achieving our personal goals. Let me know how this video has helped, if it's prompted ideas about tracking or recording or journaling or starting to read again as we move into this lovely time for bedding down at home. Let me know. I want to hear from you. I'm really enjoying the growth of the community, and it's wonderful to be able to share ideas, but also I learn so much from your comments and what you share with me. Let's have a great month together and learn from one another.